Hey guys, welcome to Forsk and a very good evening to all of you. Guys, today's webinar, we are going to talk about a very, exciting field in data science, which is NLP, natural language processing. Now, the theme of this webinar is that how come you can land a job in NLP domain. Okay, what we are going to cover during this webinar is a very interesting agenda. What we are going to cover, basically, we'll talk about what exactly the NLP is. We'll try to understand that. Once we understand what exactly the NLP is, we'll talk about that what are the popular or critical projects that are built upon NLP techniques. So we'll talk about popular products and projects around NLP. Then we'll talk about a very India specific kind of a scenario, that what are the popular or the top NLP companies, the natural language processing companies in India, which are doing a great job. Okay, so we'll talk about the companies as well. Then we'll talk about that if you want to become an NLP engineer, what are the prerequisites? Okay, so we'll talk about what are the prerequisites or kind of requirements if you want to get into an NLP domain, you want to become an NLP engineer, you want to work as an NLP, engineer in a company, or you want to work on a product related to NLP. So what are going to be the prerequisites? We're going to talk about them. Then after that, we'll come to the core agenda of this webinar, where we talk about that what are the kind of topics, what are the areas, right, on which you have to really focus if you want to become an NLP engineer, natural language processing. So we'll talk about that what are the core topics that you need to learn in NLP, and for that we are going to kind of share you a very structured path, a very structured one, that how come you can start from the beginning. And there is a lot of kind of scope and coverage in NLP domain, but we'll talk about a kind of a very specific, which is kind of really required if you want to get into a real a good company which is kind of looking for the engineers in the NLP domain. So we'll talk about those things. And then after that, we'll talk about that how you can prepare for the interviews. So we'll talk about the interview preparations, that what are the critical topics or concepts that are kind of very much asked, or any company working on the NLP will ask you those things. And then we'll talk about at the end we'll talk about the resources which you can use available on the internet, right? The resources that you can use to kind of learn, understand, and build around something meaningful around NLP. And to highlight this, guys, the quickest way of learning anything, right? Whether it's a data science, whether it's a web development, whether it's a mobile application development or anything, the quickest way of learning is working on the projects, right? So working on the projects is really, really important, because working on the project enables you to kind of understand the problem statements, right? Develop the approaches to solve the problems, right? And how you need to meet out the client requirements, okay? How you need to kind of meet out the requirements given in the, requirement document, right? So those things, that is, one of the best way of learning is to work on the projects. So this is our agenda, guys. I have gone through this. And obviously at the end, we are open for the question answer session as well. And if you have any question during the live streaming, you can ask your question in the chat window. If you are going to watch this session after the streaming, you can put your questions in the comment section as well. So let's get it started, guys. Now, to begin with, right, as per our agenda, to begin with, first understand what exactly the NLP is. Okay. Now, guys, NLP is, as I said, is natural language processing. And obviously, it is one of the branch of the data science. Yes, sir. One of the branch of data science, because data science is the umbrella term. It has a lot of things. So NLP is one of the area under data science. Now, NLP is actually concerned with enabling computers to understand and use human languages to communicate. Right? So what exactly the NLP is? So you have these computer systems, right? And you are going to enable these computer systems to understand the human language, right? So if they can understand the human language, what you speak, what you write, then it is the area of the NLP. So guys, NLP is a branch of data science concerned with enabling computers to understand and use human languages, right, to communicate with us. Okay. And guys, for the past couple of years, the advances in this area, advances in the NLP technologies are there. And now we have very sophisticated products, and a lot of these products have become a kind of a household commodity, right? So whether you talk about Alexa, whether you talk about Google Assistant, whether you talk about Siri and other products as well. Now, if you talk about the, what are the examples of NLP projects or NLP products? So let's talk about couple of interesting, projects that are very popular over the internet, and companies are using, companies are working. So we are going to list down a couple of NLP projects so you will better understand what exactly the NLP means to you. Okay. So guys, any speech recognition product or any speech recognition project is obviously an NLP project. So speech recognition is one of the project in NLP. So you can think of Google Assistant, okay? Chatbots, assistants like Siri, Alexa, right? And they can kind of have a conversation with you like a normal human being, right? So these are things here. Now, autocorrection and auto prediction, right? So when you are typing something, you are searching something on the Google, right? There is a kind of a suggestion for you. And, and if you're doing some grammatically, kind of typo issues are there, it is going to correct those as well. So auto correction and auto prediction, again, a very popular, project under NLP, guys. Okay. Then email filtering, right? You must be using Gmail, right? And you can, on the daily basis, you can see that how your incoming email is categorized by the Gmail, right? A primary email or email related to social media or email related to, marketing and promotion. So email filtering, it is again an NLP project, guys. Sentiment analysis. again, coming into NLP domain, you have a text document, you have a large text data, you need to analyze it and figure out that how the sentiments are there, right? Is it a kind of positive sounding, a sentiment of the document, or text, or review? It can be a movie review, it can be a restaurant review, it can be any product review, right? So what is kind of a sentiment of that text? That is known as sentiment analysis. And again, a very um, a popular area in NLP, sentiment analysis. Now, other than this, uh, we have this machine translation, right? So the next project, which is again based on NLP, is machine translation. So what is the example of the machine translation? Machine, not the human being, is actually translating from one language to another. So you have a Google there, right? And Google provides you the feature where you can convert one language to another language, and this is known as machine translation, and it has now become a very powerful product. I still remember initially when those products were rolled out by these companies, right? The translation was not that accurate. Translation was not kind of, a very similar to what a human will do, but is nowadays, guys, using AI, NLP, right? The machine translation has become a kind of, a near to perfect translation. Okay. So that is there. Now, the seventh project I can list down is social media analytics, because on social media, people write, people post images, people post videos, different languages, different text. So social media analytics. Now, what is interesting that now a lot of hiring companies are using NLP based products to filter their candidates in the primary stage. At the first stage, they will either make use of a chatbot, or either they will make use of application tracking, a tracking system, right, that uses NLP techniques to exactly find out if the resume is matching the requirements or not. So a lot of recruitment companies, right? So in the recruitment, it is being used nowadays. So NLP has made the job, of kind of filtering the candidates for the HR teams easier by filtering through all the resumes and shortlisting the candidates by different techniques like information extraction, name entity recognition. All these are the NLP kind of techniques, guys. Okay, so in the recruitment, people are using NLP based products or projects, and then we have one more kind of text summarization. So you have a huge text, and now you just really want to kind of get a abstract of that or a summary of that, right? This is again an NLP product. So there are other areas as well, but I think I have listed a very relevant kind of projects, right? You can see the uses around you every day, right? Anyone coming from the tech background, and anyone who is tech savvy would be kind of kind of relating to all these products what we have listed here. Now coming to the next stuff, which is that what are the kind of top companies in India using NLP for their services and products. So we'll talk about those now. So companies in India, right? So using NLP, so companies in India using NLP for their services, products, right? A lot of, there, and I'm sure that you may not have heard those names earlier. So Janani.ai is one of the top companies. It's a Bangalore-based, company, and building conversational AI platforms. So, a very kind of promising, and potential company. Then we have Reverie Language Technologies. Reverie Technologies. Most of them are based in Bangalore, Hyderabad only. The third one is vernacular.ai. You may find out more details over, uh, Google. Nikki.ai. I'm talking about only the Indian, companies, guys. I'm not talking about a company called like Grammarly, which is US based, but everybody is using Grammarly nowadays, right? Well, obviously, using hell lot of AI, right? So Nikki.ai is there. Then we have uh, the Yantra. A lot of, I'm sure, these are new names for you. Sarthi.ai. Then we have Braina AI. So all those companies are doing excellent job. They are using, making use of NLP in their products and their services. Okay, so that is, one thing. Now, guys, moving to the next step of our agenda is that before we talk about that, what you need to learn in NLP, right? I think we should also talk about that. What is the job scenario in NLP in India, right? So if you talk about this sector, that what is the kind of a job market, guys? Yesterday, me and Sylvester were talking to one of our friend in Bangalore. He is running a startup, and he is into kind of providing talent solutions to the companies. And he says, he's coming from analytics background. He says that there is all-time high demand of the people in analytics and data science and NLP. All-time high demand, and this demand is going to stay for next 6 to 9 months, guys. So whether it's NLP, whether it's analytics, whether it's a computer vision, right? If you are kind of a guy interested in data science jobs, there is a high demand of the people, high demand, right? So if you have a kind of a good projects in your resume, if you have kind of a good exposure, I'm not saying that you are expert, I'm just saying that you are a kind of a intermediate, and you know how to apply for the companies, you know how to clear kind of interviews, right? I think there is a high chance that you are going to get or land your job in the data science domain. Okay, now guys, NLP, as per 2021, NLP is one of the 7 most in demand skills in India. Most in demand, so most in demand skill NLP is. And by 2025, the global NLP market is expected to reach, around 34 billion. So you can see this market size, guys. And you guys already know that India has become the second, largest hub of data scientists. Okay, so obviously, right, the jobs, the opportunities in this domain are going to be very, very high. Okay, And even if you go to the Naukri or other job portals and search for the NLP jobs, right? Today only I was searching on the Google, and I was searching on the Naukri, and it was kind of giving me 4,000 job openings in NLP, domain. 4,000 job openings in NLP domain. That is there. Now, after kind of talking about that, what are the sentiments of the market, right? How companies are looking for the people, whether you are a fresher candidate, whether you are an experienced candidate, or whether you are willing to make a switch from one domain to another domain, companies are kind of in a state to welcome each and everybody, right? But you have to have definitely some basic foundations very, very solid. You have to have some couple of projects, right? Maybe as a part of your internship, maybe part of your kind of a part-time job. Maybe you are doing those projects in your spare time, whatever way it is, right? You have to have certainly a good project, a good GitHub profile, good LinkedIn profile, and obviously, right? So I'm talking about the stage 2 of your learning. I'm not talking about that you are in your stage 1 where you are only looking for the courses. Once your course is done, you are done and you have no idea what to do next, right? I'm talking about the next levels, because ultimately what you need to you need to have a job. How you can get that, right? So you need to move from stage 1 to stage 2, where you talk about how to prepare your resume, how to prepare your kind of prepare for the interviews, how to apply for the jobs, right? Where to look for the jobs, right? So all those things, I'm talking about the next steps of your kind of journey in your data science, finding the job in data science industry. Now, guys, talking about the prerequisites before learning NLP, what you need to have. Okay, so I'm going to talk about a kind of prerequisites now. So guys, in terms of prerequisites, two things. First is a programming skill or coding skill. Obviously, programming is essential skill that is considered a must learn if you want to get into any technical field. Okay, whether it's a Python, whether it's a Java, whether it's a R, right? There are a couple of languages available, but obviously my recommendation goes with Python as of now, a more generic language, right? So there. Now, other than programming or coding skill, because you would be walking into NLP domain, so you need to understand the basics of the NLP algorithms, and all machine learning algorithms, including NLP algorithms, are based on obviously on mathematics, right? So a high school understanding of your mathematics, right? So maths and statistics, basics. I'm not talking about that you must have a very deep understanding of all those things. You must be a doctorate. No, I'm not talking about those things. Basic fundamentals, right? Where you understand kind of linear algebra, where you understand kind of calculus, probability, and the basics of statistics. These are the prerequisites if you want to excel in the field of NLP. Okay. Now, coming to the core part of this discussion, guys, that what are the topics to learn in NLP? Guys, in this session, I'm not going to talk about deep details of those topics, which I'm going to kind of, cover here. It would be more of a horizontal coverage, so you understand the entire blueprint of your readiness, right? That what you need to learn. So we are not going to talk about each and every point in a very much details. For that we might have a another session. Here my purpose is to kind of aware you regarding your entire horizontal coverage, that what you should have in terms of the visibility if you want to become an NLP engineer in data science field. Okay, so let's start that what are the topics that you need to learn in NLP. So here we go, topics to learn in NLP. Now guys, I have divided this into multiple steps so that you can easily follow this blueprint, that what you need to learn in the NLP domain. Okay, so we are going to start with our first step, and I will mark this step as step A. Starting from the basic and then reaching out to the kind of more critical, more complex skills that you need to have. Okay, so in the step A, I talk about the topic which we call as pre-processing and text data wrangling. Okay, so pre-processing and text data wrangling. So wrangling means manipulation, changing from one format to another format. So what exactly the text pre-processing is? Text pre-processing or processing is a kind of an umbrella name, okay, to describe an activity, right, that can be performed on the text to prepare it for the further analysis, right? So you have a raw text data and now you need to clean it up so that it becomes ready, right, for the next step. Okay, so a set of procedures, set of activities that can be performed on the text to prepare it for further analysis is known as pre-processing or text data wrangling. Now, if you want to perform pre-processing effectively in your project, right, then you have to have a kind of a knowledge or kind of, hands-on, a confidence that yes, you can do that. What are those kind of skills you need to have if you want to pre-process the data, text data? Then first of all, you should have a good understanding around regular expressions, regex, a very effective way to analyze the text data, to search the text data, right, to kind of extract the information. So regex, or to validate the input data. So regex is required. Then other things that you should be aware of, what is tokenization? So effectively, the tokenization is kind of a splitting a phrase or sentence or a paragraph, right, into a smaller units, such as individual words or terms. That is known as tokenization. That is kind of the first step, right? If you are going to kind of, play with your text data to build a machine learning model or to extract some meaningful sentiments or to extract some meaningful insights from that. Okay. After tokenization, you must be aware of stemming or lemmatization. These two techniques are quite similar to each other. Basically, if you have a word, right, and if you find out the root form of that word, right? So let's say you have a word loving, for example. So what is the root word? Love. So this is how it happens through stemming or lemmatization. So stemming is kind of a process of reducing a word to its kind of, stem word, right? So for loving, love is the stem word. Loved, love is the stem word, right? Loves, love is the stem word, like that. Okay, so stemming and lemmatization are used for that purpose, finding out the root word. Okay, then you must be knowing what exactly the n-gram is, right? And what do you mean by word frequencies, that how many times a particular word is coming in the document or in the paragraph, right? So those things you must be knowing, uh, kind of, if you want to effectively do the pre-processing and text data. That is your first step, guys. Okay, if you want to work on an NLP project, this is your starting point, step A. So this is how I have listed all the basic requirements, right? Pre-processing and text data wrangling. Thank you, Sarif. So that is there. Now, guys, coming to the step V. What is the next step? So we are now moving to step B, guys, that you need to understand. So after step A, we are into step B. Now, guys, in step B, your data has been cleaned, your data has been pre-processed, your text data is now in the kind of a correct state where it can be analyzed further, it can be used further. Now, if you have a text data, right, because entire machine learning, entire data science is primarily based on mathematics, right? So you would be using certain algorithms to analyze it further, right? So what you need to do now, you need to convert your text data into a numeric representation so that algos can use that data. And algo is basically based on the mathematics, so it would be kind of requiring the data into a numeric format. So in the step, we are going to talk about that only, that how you can convert a text data into a numeric representation. And converting a text data into a numeric representation is known as vectorization. So representing your text data, right, into a numeric representation can be done through vectorization and embedding. Now, to perform vectorization, there are kind of different techniques, right? But the two popular techniques which are available right now is using count vectorizer or using TF-IDF approach, which stands for Town Frequency Inverse Document Frequency. If you're new to kind of NLP world, guys, these are the techniques which kind of converts your text data into a numeric representation. For more details, obviously, you can do the Google, because the purpose is to have a more coverage horizontally, right, so that you can understand the entire picture. So count vectorization, TF-IDF kind of stuff, right? And then embedding is also one of the way to convert your text data into a numeric representation. Okay, so these are the things basically you need to understand. And then in the same kind of step, you should understand what is kind of word to vec, right? That how you convert a kind of a word into a vector form. Okay, then I'm talking about embedding, right? So word to vec or a kind of doc to vec or sentence to vec. So if these are the kind of techniques which are part of the embedding that converts your text data into a numeric representation. So vectorization is, if you compare what exactly the vectorization and what the embedding is, so embedding is a more condensed representation in the numeric format, more compressed. Okay, so either you can use vectorization or either you can use embedding, right? So embedding gives you a more dense representation, right? Taking kind of lesser space in terms of numeric representation. Is that clear? So these are kind of steps which you need to perform before kind of building your model, before training your model. Okay, and when you talk about training your model, sometimes in NLP domain, people also use pre-trained models which are kind of already trained, and you can kind of use them for your purpose, right? And there are a lot of pre-trained models available which are very, very effective nowadays. BERT from Google, so Google BERT, okay, can be used for question answer kind of projects very easily, right? And then GPT-3 from OpenAI, again a pre-trained model. Microsoft also is there with the name Code BERT, and even Facebook and other companies also has the pre-trained models in the NLP domain that is there. Now, so guys, in step B, if I kind of quickly summarize, you should understand what is count vectorization, what is TF-IDF, what is word to vec, what is doc to vec, what is sentence to vec, right? What are the pre-trained models like BERT or GPT-3 or Code BERT, okay? Basically, BERT, if I take one example, Google Word, what exactly the Word is. So Word is a pre-trained NLP model developed by Google in 2018. And with this, anyone in the world can train their own question answering models in just about 30 minutes to 1 hour on a single, GPU cloud or a TPU. TPU means tensor processing unit used by Google. So that is there. Now, guys, one thing, NLP is kind of one of the difficult domain in data science, one of the difficult domain in the data science, right? So experts are not available, in that volume. Very few experts are there. So even if you have the basic understanding of the NLP, high chances are there for you to get into the job. Are you getting this point? Because there are a lot of researches going on, but the people are not there. Companies are kind of fighting with the they're not able to meet the demand, right? So even if you have a basic knowledge, if your basic fundamentals are very kind of solid and clear in NLP, right? Even without learning complex things, you can easily get into a NLP job. That is the catch. That is the catch of the NLP right now. If you talk about the jobs, because it's difficult, very few experts, so it kind of creates a vacuum, right? So if you have basic fundamentals, strong in NLP, high chances are there that you can easily get a job there. Okay, so that was our step B, guys. Now moving to step C. Okay, now moving to step C is which is kind of the third step. Now I'll talk about the guys step C. In step C, we talk about in NLP, with reference to NLP, clustering and topic modeling. So guys, clustering is basically dividing or grouping your data into multiple groups, right? So if I talk about what exactly the topic modeling is a very interesting part in NLP domain, guys. Topic modeling is basically an unsupervised technique. Clustering is also unsupervised technique, right? Unsupervised machine learning. So topic modeling is a unsupervised technique that kind of intends to analyze large volume of your text data, okay, by clustering the document into groups. So you have a lot of documents, a large volume of the data set is there, and then you have the multiple documents, and now you want to see that what exactly each document falls into a certain category. right? Whether this article is talking about entertainment, whether this article is talking about Bollywood, whether it's talking about science and technology, whether this article is talking about sports, and this way you have a lots of documents available in a large volume of data. And now what you want to do, you want to kind of analyze this large volume and categorize, right? Or make a cluster of these documents. So now in this cluster, all the documents related to sports are there. Now in this document, all the documents, in this cluster, all the documents related to, let's say, medical research are there, right? In this cluster, all the documents related to sports are there. These are the kind of clusters where you have the kind of, related to politics, right? So this is how the clustering is used. And to perform this clustering, right, basically this entire activity is known as topic modeling. What do you call it, guys? The entire activity is topic modeling. So topic modeling is unsupervised technique that is basically analyzing the large volume of text data, okay, by clustering the document into groups, right? And obviously it is unsupervised, so none of the document has a kind of a label attached to it, right? So topic modeling tries to group the documents into cluster based on similar characteristics. This is how any unsupervised machine learning technique exactly works. And now to perform, a topic modeling, guys, you have a technique which is known as LDA. Latent, adjectlet allocation. So guys, LDA is a technique for topic modeling. And when we talk about clustering, you must be having a knowledge what exactly, clustering algorithms are. So K-means is one of the popular clustering algorithms, guys, right? So topic modeling might use K-means, right? And sometimes the clustering is also kind of categorized as, a soft clustering versus hard clustering, So in hard clustering, a data point would be lying within a specific cluster only, but in soft clustering, a certain document might be part of the two clusters as well. So this, this document, let's say, is part of this cluster as well and this cluster as well. This is known as soft clustering. But if you are kind of putting it in a very hard way, this document cannot be part of the multiple clusters, then it is known as hard clustering. Okay, so K-means is one of the clustering algorithm here. DB-scan is one of the clustering algorithm there. Then you have a Brown clustering. A lot of new terms might be there for you. Okay, so there are so Brown clustering. Brown clustering is a kind of a special case of hierarchical clustering only. So certain names are there, right? So topic modeling can use any of these clustering algorithms to kind of divide your data into multiple groups, right? This is known as this. So guys, clustering and topic modeling. Topic modeling is really, really important in NLP domain, right? So topic modeling, I again repeat, topic modeling refers to the task of identifying the topics that best describe a set of documents. Whether this document is a political document, document related to sports, document related to engineering, document related to science, document related to medical research, entertainment, they're kind of, so we are going kind of using unsupervised technique, we are going to kind of describe a document that what exactly this document is kind of related to, right? How you can describe that. So one of the technique to perform topic modeling is LDA, guys, okay? So one of the technique to perform topic modeling is LDA, and behind the scene, LDA would be using some clustering techniques and other things to finally divide your set of documents into multiple clusters. So that is there. Now, guys, after that, okay, we are going to talk about the step D. Again, a very interesting one. Step D. In step D, we talk about dimension reduction. So guys, sometimes your data is in a very high dimension space and it's not possible for you to properly analyze it and visualize it, right? And in machine learning, guys, you must be aware that there are two popular techniques, right, to perform the dimension reduction, like converting your high dimensional data into a lower dimension data, right? That is known as dimension reduction. And there are two popular techniques for that, guys: PCA, principal component analysis, and then SVD, which is singular value decomposition. If I take the example of dimension reduction, guys, this world is a three-dimensional world, right? But when you record it using a camera, when you take an image using a camera, this 3D world gets stored into a two-dimensional data, right? When you play back it, it is played in two-dimensional space, not the three-dimensional space, right? So our real world is three-dimensional, but when you capture it using a camera, right, still or whatever it is, right, that means here your world from 3D, right, is getting converted into a two-dimensional space. This is again an example of dimension reduction. But still, you can really understand those 2D images, 2D videos, right? You know, it hardly kind of uh, deteriorates your experience, right? It's still you enjoy those movies and images, right? So dimension reduction is very much used, particular to NLP. You know, we have other techniques as well: TNS and E and UMAP. These are the two techniques, guys, which are used as a dimension reduction techniques to perform analysis on a high dimensional data and visualizing as well. Okay, so this TSNE, which stands for distributed stochastic neighbor embedding, is an unsupervised nonlinear technique used for data exploration and visualizing high dimensional data, right? And similarly, UMAP, which is uniform manifold approximation and projection, is again a nonlinear dimensionality reduction technique, guys. And again, it is used for visualization, right? Visualizing a high dimension data. So kind of, you know, I have listed these four things for you guys, right? If you talk about dimension reduction and NLP domain. Now, if you are applying for a job, okay, you have a good understanding of the NLP, the basics are very clear. I'm not saying that you are kind of good at every step from a step A to a step, you know, D. If you are good at a step A and step B, that's it. That means you know the pre-processing of the text data, you know the vectorization and embedding. I think you are good to go to apply for the jobs. Don't be afraid in applying for the jobs, guys. Rejection will help you to improve for the next interview, right? If you see that, well, I would be kind of make myself perfect, then only I would be applying for the jobs. No, this is not the right strategy, guys. Okay. The right strategy is that if you are 60 to 70% prepared, if you are kind of meeting the requirements in the job description by 60% or 70%, you should apply for that job. It would be a kind of hardly a case where you are meeting the 100% requirements given in the job description. No. And this is the true with every job opening, not only in data science, guys, whether it's a web development, right, full stack development, whether it's a mobile application development, whether it's a digital marketing or any other job, non-tech as well, right? If you're meeting the 70% requirement, 60 to 70%, right, you should apply for that job. Okay. Now, couple of things for kind of an interview, right? So I'm now going to talk about certain interview preparation tips, guys, if you are going for NLP, a job. So now let's focus on certain interview tips, guys. Okay. Now, there is a question that, where do we find the jobs for data science or NLP as a fresher? Okay. Now, this is the question where kind of a lot of people ask. Okay. So guys, on the YouTube channel, on our YouTube channel only, we did a webinar which was primarily talking about jobs for the freshers in the data science domain. And in that video, I talked about 10 different websites where you can go and apply for the data science jobs, including the NLP, right? A lot of job sites as well, right? And a lot of other ways as well to get the job, guys. Okay, I listed 10 websites there where you should go and try, right, to get a job. I will kind of, post that link here in the comment section, guys. Okay, and you can use that kind of a webinar and video to exactly find out that how you can apply for the job. Yesterday only I was talking to one guy who was a fresher into a counseling session. We had a one-to-one counseling session with the guy, and that guy was saying that a lot of people say that you cannot get a job, as a data scientist if you are a fresher. I think this is a wrong, a kind of a idea, right? Company needs people at all the levels, whether you are experienced or a fresher. The only thing that you need to take care about is that your resume should have at least 1 or 2 good projects which cover kind of end-to-end data science or NLP project, end-to-end, where it starts from the problem statement, right? Then how you develop the solution, the business logic, how you implemented it, what tools and technologies you used it, and you finally how you deployed it over the cloud. That end-to-end coverage, if you have in the in your project, right, and that is well listed on the GitHub, right? Even if you're a fresher, because from the Forsk alumni, the people who have taken the support from the Forsk, right, who have used the Forsk platform to get the job as a fresher, you can go on the LinkedIn, find out there are a lot of people as a fresher and is still working as a data scientist or data analyst right now in India, guys. And a lot of companies, startups, big MNCs, top-notch consulting companies, right? Like EY, or banking sector as well, like Goldman Sachs. So a lot of people have this fear that if they are fresher they can't get a job as a data scientist. No, I think the only thing that is missing is a little awareness that how you can get the job, and a good project work in your resume. If you can have these 2 things with you, getting a job is kind of something that, no, it's impossible. No, it's possible, really possible, and people have already done it multiple times. SB, right? There was a question coming. So I answered this. Now, guys, in terms of interview preparation for NLP, right? You should be good at the, how the sentiment analysis is done, because that is one of the SB, sentiment analysis, one of the most popular form of NLP projects. And I still remember at Forsk also we did one of the project which was given to candidates as a part of the internship, right? And in that project, we did the sentiment analysis. We handled a very large amount of our data, around I think it was close to 15 GB of data. We pre-processed this, we cleaned it, we prepared the model, we used vectorization techniques, we used TF-IDF, strategy to convert from text data to a numeric representation, right? And we did a kind of a sentiment analysis, whether a certain review, right? This review was for an e-commerce company, whether the review was positive or negative. So we did a very good end-to-end project around sentiment analysis. So this is something which I think you should prepare for it. Then, how the text classification is done, that how you can classify whether a review is positive or whether it's a review negative, right? Those kind of things. The third topic that you should be well prepared is known as named entity recognition, a very, very critical and interesting as well. Named entity recognition. This is known as NER in short form, guys. What do you mean by NER? So basically, let's say you have a text data, okay, and a text is written. Now, using NER, what we are going to do, we are going to kind of identify whether this text or this word is a name, whether this is kind of a city name, whether this is a address, whether are you guys getting it? Like, named entity recognition is NLP technique to identify mentions of those text, right? Whether it is a person, whether it's a location, whether it's an address, whether it's something else, right? Let me show you one image which can clearly give you the idea. Just a minute. Okay, got it. Yeah. So guys, you see this image on the screen, right? Here, guys, you see this is in the left side of this image. There has been an invoice raised by a company. And now there is a NLP-based tool, okay, which is going to parse this invoice, okay, and how it is going to pass? Using NER techniques, named entity recognition. And guys, can you see this text is identified as name. It might be a little blurred. Can you see, guys? Zero doi. So it says it's a name. Then it says that it's a kind of an address. Can you see, guys? Okay. Then kind of here you can see this is email. This is kind of invoice date. This is invoice number. Can you see, guys? So this is the input to NER tool, and this is the output on the right side. This is the output of the NER. Okay, so this is something which you should be kind of prepared. Named entity recognition, and you can do it using NLTK, using Spacey, guys. Okay, there are two tools available in Python ecosystem. Okay, NLTK and Spacey and Jansen. These are the kind of frameworks and libraries available, and you can use these libraries and frameworks to work on an NLP project. Okay, a language model fine-tuning. Then there is one more term which should be kind of mentioned here, which is known as, guys, sequence to sequence. A very interesting term. Sequence to sequence, or sometimes called as swig to swig model, is actually a neural network based model. Okay, and it is kind of used to perform machine translations or kind of question answering, or chatbots, or kind of text summarization, right? So guys, this is kind of a a model, basically. Sequence to sequence is a model which can do a machine translation for you. You have a text in one language and converting or translating into another language is actually a sequence to sequence uses in NLP domain. A very interesting one, right? Now, other than these, you should be understanding very well on the recurrent neural network, because recurrent neural network are the backbone of the NLP, kind of, techniques, guys. Okay. And within recurrent neural network, you should understand that, what is the difference between GRU and LSTM. Most of the time, LSTM is being used, so you should be understanding that. What are the attention models? Okay, I'm just throwing some names to you. I will not explain in much detail attention models, right? And the seventh one is, we call it as transformer. Okay. So if you're good at these three, I think you are kind of prepared. And then rest of the things can be learned over the job as well, right? So kind of those things. Now, sometimes, guys, okay, kind of final thing related to our core discussion around, how you can prepare yourself for the NLP jobs. When you are developing NLP based models, right, the models that are using text data, right, whether it's a topic modeling, whether it's a text summarization, whether it's a sequence to sequence kind of job, right, whether it's a vectorization, whether it's a embedding, when you are building a NLP model, model means a machine learning model. When you are building or developing an NLP model, that means you are training it, you are testing it. How you are going to evaluate the performance of this model, right? How you are going to evaluate it. So if you have a regression model, you talk about that. What is the score of your model, right? What is the mean square error, right? And if you are doing some classification, you get to know what is the confusion matrix, right? For that, what is the F1 score, right? What is the sensitivity? All those things are there, right? But if it is an NLP based model, 3 evaluation metrics are very popular, but this is not exhaustive list, guys. There are many more evaluation metrics of the NLP, based models. Okay, I'm just going to name them here, right? One evaluation matrix is known as perplexity. Okay, it's a kind of a measurement of how your model is kind of predicting the things, right? Perplexity. Then other one is blue score. Mind the BLE, you guys. Okay, blue score. Again, a kind of a metric for kind of evaluating the machine translated text, that how well the model has translated the text. And then, guys, we have ROG score. So ROG score is to evaluate the quality of the document translation, right? And summarization. How has been the quality of the summary, right? There was an input, a document, and then it was summarized. So how well it has been summarized by the NLP model. So these are the 3 important evaluation metrics, guys, you should understand. Okay. And I'm just throwing a couple of terms to you guys. Okay, these are very hard to find. Only if you have seen the entire end-to-end project development of the NLP project, right? Then you have the idea that what exactly you need to understand during that whole process of project development, guys. Okay. Now, talking to the point where resources are available over the internet. A lot of resources are available, guys. Okay, so obviously over the Google you have the resources, over the Stack Flow you have the resources. Medium is one of the good source, guys, okay, towards data science, towards AI, right? And you should be well versed with some open source packages, which I mentioned earlier as well, right? Open source packages. So one is a Spacey, other one is NLTK, and other one is Janssen. 3-1. Okay. And in the beginning, guys, as I said to you, right, that the quickest way of learning is to do projects. You can take open source data from Kaggle. You can take the data you encounter every day, right? So the best way of learning. So do the kind of, rather than going through a strategy that I will learn this first, I will learn that first, I will learn those things, and then I will work on the projects. I think that's a wrong approach. The right approach is that you start with the project, and whatever it takes to learn those, things, right? Whatever it takes to learn those things so that you can complete that project, learn those things. Data science is a ocean, guys. Okay, everything cannot be learned, everything cannot be taught, everything cannot be prepared. So you have to be very, very specific, to the point. What is something which can really solve a problem? So you have to kind of, cut through all other distractions and focus on those things on. Okay, now this was kind of our, coverage for today's session, guys. And as a piece of advice, as I have been kind of repeating, a lot of times, don't be afraid applying for the jobs, guys. Having fundamental NLP knowledge is valuable, and if you have the fundamental NLP knowledge, right, you are good to go to apply for the jobs. Work on your resume. See that, is it a recruiter friendly resume, right? Does it has the right format? If you are a fresher, it should never go beyond one page. If you're a fresher, just put everything in one single page. No recruiter, no HR has a time to kind of see your second page, third page. No, whatever you want to show the relevant stuff only, put it on the first page only, one page only, and that's it. Have a good LinkedIn profile, have a good, GitHub profile, right? Go through multiple mock interviews, prepare yourself, right? Then I think you can crack any job, not even NLP, right? Anything related to, whether it's analytics job, whether it's a decision science job, right? Whatever the company is, right? If you have taken the right step, you have moved from step one, I've done this course, only doing the course is not going to help you. You have to look beyond the courses. Okay, so that is one thing, guys. Okay, now I have a kind of a surprise for you. This is something which we are offering right now to people, and if you want to kind of really, get this chance, guys, if you want a free consultation from Forsk expert, one-to-one consultation I'm talking about, right? If you are interested in getting a one-to-one consultation, you have done some course, you have done some internships, jobs are not coming, calls are not coming, you have no idea that as a fresher how can you can get a job, you have no idea that how you can apply off campus, right? Because it's very hard in tier 2, tier 3 colleges that data science companies will come during the campus placements, only mass recruiters will come, right? So how can you can get the right opportunities in this domain as off campus, right? So how you need to prepare for all those things, right? If you want a free consultation on all those aspects, right, you can, guys, fill this form which I'm sharing. I will be sharing here as in the description as well, guys. Okay, so if you want a free consultation from Forsk experts and want to join data science workforce, want to get into a data science domain, guys, you can click on the link given in the description box and you can fill that form. And once we see the entry, we are going to call you and schedule a 40-minute one-to-one, 40-minute one-to-one session with you guys. So far, hundreds of people have kind of availed this. Okay, we started this kind of a activity before Diwali, and a lot of people are approaching, freshers, working professionals, right? People struggling to get the job, are all those people here. Okay, so we're going to share that link, guys, in the description, and that's it for today from my side, guys. Okay, If you have any questions, put it in the comment section, guys. You can put in the chat section as well. I hope this session was kind of useful for you guys. It gave you an idea that how come you can prepare yourself, or where you need to really focus if you're looking for a job, right? And some of the things can be generalized to data science. That means it can be applied to other fields of the data science as well. Visualization expert, analyst, data analyst, ML engineer, data engineer, cloud engineer. A lot of positions are there in data science, right? So a lot of things can be generalized to those areas as well. So guys, now I'm going to sign off. Bye-bye, guys. Take care. Thank you. Just a minute. Let me see if I can share that in chat. Just a minute. Yeah. So guys, here. Here we go. So guys, you can fill this forms. People who are going to go through this video, guys, you can grab this chance, get a free consultation, one-on-one consultation, 40 minutes from the Forsk experts. And I'm just going to share the link separately as well. This is here. So guys, me, Yugen, signing off now. Thank you. Bye-bye. Good night.